The Dropkick Murphys, Going Out in Style, was their last album. We now return with Signed and Sealed in Blood. I mentioned Going Out with Style because there is definitely a style differential between that album and this one that I will get into in just a moment. Now, the Dropkick Murphys are a band that have definitely been getting significant acclaim ever since their inception in the latter part of the 1990s, and it's something that has finally started to transition over into actual record sales and positioning on the Billboard Top 200 charts, with their last album, Going Out in Style, peaking at number 6, giving them their best performance on the chart to date. Whether or not that's going to be upended by this album is still yet to be seen. However, it is definitely a possibility, considering the strength of the material that's presented upon it. Now, with the last album, there was a definite headache, so to speak, but it was still a very fun process for the band, considering it was very conceptual in nature. It kind of reminded me of an old Irish tales where somebody just pulls someone else aside at the pub and is telling about the stories about one gentleman and basically his life. In fact, the liner notes included a handwritten obituary to the gentleman from the story. Now, the band themselves feel that Signed and Sealed in Blood is a sort of a continuation of that, but not in the story sense, but just in the sense of how they were writing their music. The same fun atmosphere that they felt was still present whenever they were recording these songs, only without the stress of trying to use continuity in order to piece the story together and keep everything running, at a suave and continuous pace. So that's something where this album came out as quickly as it did after Going Out in Style, because it was just fun writing. They were just enjoying themselves instead of bogging themselves down with that idea of trying to keep everything in check and in its proper place. I would have used a really bad Irish accent to do this review, by the way. However, I am not that much of an ass, because I would just make myself laugh and just probably bastardize the whole thing. So you can thank that idea and my own modesty and self-awareness for why I'm not doing this whole review in the style of, well, this is a tremendous album, but however, blah, 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 etc., etc. Now, this is self-evident, this idea that this was definitely a lot more fun by track number 1, The Boys Are Back, where it definitely has a feeling of just triumphantness. I know that's not even a word, but I just invented it. Sue me. There's just a lot of triumph in this song, where it is, they're saying that they're back, but at the same time I find it to be a fitting metaphor that hockey's just around the corner after their lockout, and this almost seems like the perfect theme song for that. It seems like something that could be used in television spots, or, during the first couple of games of the season, the first couple of weeks, or even throughout the whole season, just to kind of give everybody who was a hockey fan who maybe was starting to get turned off because of the decisions a little bit of something to be, self-aware and very happy about. But this tone continues as you continue on to the record, and then you hit their Christmas song. Yeah, there's a Christmas song on this release entitled The Season's Upon Us, which is not a traditional Christmas song by any stretch of the imagination. It is actually a song all about a dysfunctional family getting together at Christmas, and the narrator of this story, which we're assuming is the lead singer, is kind of telling about all the different quirks that these different family members have, and even the dog is a dysfunctional member of this family, which can definitely tell you the humor that this song presents. This is definitely a song that made me chuckle on multiple occasions. Sometimes you need something that just has a lyrical quirk to it that just makes you really, it shifts your emotion a little bit, whether it's, from happy to sad, or in this case from, pleased and pleasant and, kind of in a good mood to, laughing about it. It's those little things that really do add up to a solid release, if you're able to do that. And they are able to convey a lot of emotion. The last track definitely has this feeling of ending, it's called End of the Night, and it has that sort of feel to it. And there's other tracks that cite things such as baseball, and of course there's a traditional drinking hymns and things like that. There's an Honest Wagner reference, which I immediately reacted to, considering I'm from the Pittsburgh area, so, that's Pittsburgh baseball legend right there. So this is an album that is able to really tie in just about anything, because they were writing just for fun. They didn't have that struggle, that kind of headache of continuity to really play into account. They could pretty much write as they pleased about whatever was kind of on their mind, and that kind of artistic freedom can be abused by a lot of artists, but by the Dropkick Murphys it's done in such a nice way, and kind of done in such a really it's done only in small doses, that it is very, very likable. It's something that really presents this album with a nice flow, and it actually gives this album the one thing that they were, so worried about in the last one. It gives it continuity. It gives it a real sense of pleasure. You don't want to turn this album off because you're almost wondering what's going to come next. Considering there are some tracks where you're kind of considering going back and listening to them again. That type of flow to an album where you feel confident keeping on going as opposed to going back to that standout track is definitely a positive. So I have to say overall, Going Out in Style was a really, really good album for the Dropkick Murphys. It was definitely out of character for them to do something that was so conceptually based and really performed so very well on it. But returning now to just having some fun and returning now to just a, great songwriting where they weren't exactly held to the strings of a storyline. They were able to really make that transition with ease, and it actually, taking on a project such as Going Out in Style has enhanced their songwriting even more to make them an even more viable force. So if this is an album that you've been kind of swaying toward getting or you're not too sure about it, I'm going to tell you right now that you should definitely pick this one up. The Murphys have delivered, once again, another great album, and it is certainly one that will help your St. Patrick's Day party go and turn itself up a notch and become a St. Patrick's Day, insane, maddening, crazy, Project X style mess. And that's what you want. That's what we all want. They say not to try that shit at home, but you try that shit at home all the time. Just don't try to attempt a backflip off of a diving board into a swimming pool. Chances are it won't work. That's just my advice. Pick up this album. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it definitely made my day a little bit brighter. So, and it's not like a god bright. It's kind of a, you just enjoy yourself whenever you listen to this stuff type of bright, and I think that you will definitely feel the same. This is one of those bands that even if you are a metal fan, this is something that you can agree is just fun stuff. It's good stuff. It does have a little heaviness to it. There's that Celtic background, that Irish background, that, drink till you drop background, and it's something that we can relate to a little bit. Not to say that we're all alcoholics, but we had Alcoholica and Slayer.